Welcome to episode 2, Stride and Sully. Today, Tony DeHart's going to walk us through what a day is like at the London Knights in the OHL. Competition's heating up every day. You're fighting for ice time. How long does that go on until you get a permanent spot? Or do you even have a permanent spot?
When I was, it's survival every day. It's dog eat dog kind of style. You're scratching and clawing to get into the lineup, and what I mean by that is just you have to essentially steal someone's job each and every day. Once you're probably behind that bottom 4 spot. I think they took 8, maybe 9 defensemen. So, guys are going up and down from the junior B team. So there is a feeder system. So they're just constantly trying to take your spot. So you're worried about going down, but then your main focus is trying to get in the top 6, taking small steps each and every day. So you do that by, putting in the extra time. You show up to the rink early. You stay after early. You just try to compete the best that you can. I try to be extremely coachable. You try to get feedback, but not too much of being like a butt kisser, if you will. You try to seek advice, but then you try to create it into your own of what you feel is going to be best. You just got to get in a mental. It all comes down on how bad do you really want it. And how bad what are you willing to do to get to that point?
What kind of things do coaches at that level look for to say, this guy's ready for the jersey?
I think it all depends on the player. The biggest thing that I've learned on my kind of path up is, you go from playing, let's say, even my youth level, let's say when I played that A2 season, then you're trying to make a step to AA, then the AAA, then to AAA to junior to pro. You have to be essentially a bit of a Swiss Army knife. You have to be a little bit of a chameleon almost, where you have to understand each and every role. And you have to figure that out on your own. To a certain degree. I mean, coaches, usually you should have a bit of common sense on how to do that. But some guys, they're only going to be a scorer, and they can't adapt to being a third-line grinder. I kind of figured out to be a little bit of a jack of all trades, and London really helped me that. When I was playing AAA at 14, 15 before I made the jump, I was kind of more of like a skilled guy or like a good passer. But then you get there and now you're a 6th defenseman. What value does that bring? I guess I should say, how do I provide value to the team? Okay, if you're only going to get limited ice time, you got to show that you want to be there.
You mentioned earlier the coaches don't give you a lot of feedback as to how you play, and that some of the stuff you need to figure out. Did you have coaches that said, hey, you want to get in the lineup, here's what you got to do?
Yes, they definitely do that if you ask. Their job is obviously to win hockey games and develop. But you kind of have to figure that out for yourself. Every player knows where they're at on the depth chart. With me just scratching and clawing for the lineup, it's pretty obvious that you have to put in the extra work. You have to learn. You have to have that couple-month phase of trying to figure out how to get in the lineup. You do that by asking other guys on the team, asking the coaches or whatnot. But yes, when I asked, they give you answers, and that's one thing I respected about the coaching staff that I had.
What's a day like playing junior hockey in the NHL factory called the London Knights?
So when I was there, I had to attend high school. There is older guys who either maybe go to college or after high school or whatnot. They would go to the rink earlier, maybe like at 10 o'clock, and do either a pre-skate, stretch, workout type of thing. With mine, I would go to school. We would get out of high school around 1 or 2, and then go to the rink. Just get there, stretch. They had ping pong. Kind of loosen yourself up. Just be around the guys. Check your sticks. Check your skates. Clown around with each other a little bit. And then, with me being a young guy, I was always trying to get on the ice early. Show that I was there for a purpose. That I was there to get into the lineup, work on my craft. And from there on, then you have the regular practice. Now, with me being more of a bubble guy, after practice, then another coach comes out that's kind of strictly there for conditioning. Now, that's where you're just really getting that conditioning, trying to get up to speed for when you do get in the lineup.
When you say conditioning, what does that mean? Describe conditioning, because there's a piece of me that thinks you're just kind of skating around doing flow drills, but then there's another piece of me that how difficult is conditioning?
It was very difficult because the ice was absolutely chewed up from practice. So you had 20 guys out there just flying around from regular practice. Now the ice is already what you could call slow. So like just absolutely chewed up or whatever, you're not really able to glide. And
do you pucks at this time, or is this a bag skate?
It all depends.
Okay.
What that coach wanted to do. Sometimes it was just strictly bag skate. Sometimes it was battle practice. Sometimes they got a fighting coach out there to just teach you different techniques. It all depends, I think, the day or what that coach felt like. For the most part, there were pucks, some sort of battle, and then maybe ending with straight conditioning where you maybe see in the movie Miracle, like just mountains. Or other drills very similar to that where you're just kind of roasting your legs and building that endurance. Also sprints. I was a young guy, so they know their stuff, and they test you. It's a mental grind. It's a physical grind. And then after that is when it's even more of a grind. So you take your stuff off, then you have to do a workout.
Okay.
And you're trying to, again, show how serious you're willing to take it. Show how much you really want to be there.
What's the off-ice workout like? Was it, I know back in the day there was a lot of heavyweight stuff. Was it heavyweight era, or was this more like nowadays where it's started to get towards core and that kind of stuff?
When I was there, they had a yoga instructor that was a trainer, but then they also brought in a guy who was a little bit more of a power lifter.
Okay.
But Dale Hunter loved the bike.
Oh, boy.
They were big bike guys. We would come in there and Dale Hunter would have trash bags on him, just hammering the bike.
Trash bags on him?
Just making himself sweat.
Really?
Yes. They had this one thing where they would make us type your weight in, and you were required to do 500-calorie bike ride in under 30 minutes.
Oh, boy. How fast is that? I don't know. That seems pretty darn fast.
You have to.
That's really a full-on sprint?
Pretty much the whole time.
If you don't hit that 500 calorie at 30 minutes, what happens?
They make you do it pretty much every day.
Ooh. So you got to be ready every day.
I was doing it a lot, yes. And it was hard because I was trying to bulk up. So with all that, with how many calories I was burning, I remember in one of the physical education classes, we did some kind of deal like that where I had to count calories, and then you realize how many calories you're burning.
Yeah.
It's tough for lunch. You want to go load up and eat all this pizza or whatever you can, but then you got to go to the rink and absolutely get crushed on the ice. So how do you balance that? How do you fit in those meals? Or you get to the rink, you're trying to have some sort of energy bars or protein bars, but then after you practice and then you get your conditioning practice, then they're like, hey, you got 15 minutes to get your stuff off, and then you want to sneak in another banana or whatever it is. Like, how are you able to, I think when I was there, I was a $180 and they wanted me to get to 200 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
How is that possible when you're just getting ran down like that?
Boy, did they help with nutrition and have somebody like, hey, here's how you need to do that? Here's kind of the amount of protein and calories you need to have. Did they help with that?
So every week, yes, they would measure your body fat.
Wow.
Every
week?
Every week, every Monday, Tuesday, it would be their goal would be under 10 to 12%. If you're over that, you had to do the 500-calorie bike ride.
Ooh.
Or probably do a couple bag skates after practice,
yeah.
if you're an older guy.
In the Marine Corps, they used to call it the diet privates. So if you were overweight, which I was when I went in, so they cut out everything. Instead of dreaming about girls at night at age 18, I was dreaming about pancakes. I was constantly starving.
I agree with you there. Yep, I was right there with you.
So just with what you've told me, you have to balance your desire, your fortitude, and your physical toughness and grind through, because everything seems to be a challenge at this point.
It is. Absolutely.
So you can't hide.
No.
You're there. How close is this why it's an NHL factory? It's very close to what the pros do?
Yeah, I would imagine so. I mean, they really do a great job of preparing you for that next level. The accessibility, the history, they know what they're doing. I think the proof is in the pudding at this point. There's a reason why players want to go there.
Yeah, anybody watching this, go to London Knights history and you'll see the who's who of the NHL that is played there. So you're doing that every day except for game day? And when are game days? Are game days exclusive on weekends?
Game days were probably even more tough for me when I was not in the lineup.
Oh, boy. Let's hear this.
So you go to school, then you got to boogie to the rink before warm-up start, and say you get there 2:30 practice, 3 o'clock practice, somewhere in that neighborhood. If it's hard for me to remember a little bit, but then that was a full-on what you call bag skate practice, high tempo practice.
On game day?
On game day for me, because I was if I was not in the lineup.
When did you know if you're in the lineup? Did they tell you the
day before?
Day before, okay.
The day before.
Okay.
Now on the weekends they would have a pregame skate or maybe an optional pregame skate. Anything that was optional was not optional for me.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
If you're one of the core players, an older guy who is in the lineup, that's when it's optional. But as a young rookie or someone that's in and out of lineup, it's not optional.
I imagine it was very difficult to get rest and recovery.
Big time. And I remember they would have curfew calls and they'd be calling my house and I'd already be asleep. Just the mental and physical grind. At the time I was 16 competing with guys who were 20 and under.
How did you, as a 16-year-old, develop such mental toughness? Were there coaches that helped with that?
I think it was just coaches that I had when I was younger. And
who were some of the coaches younger that you can remember was really helped with that?
Basil McRae was huge. Rob Ramage, Jeff Brown. I had Dale Howard for a year when he was here.
Really? He's
I was a little younger when that happened, but I mean, I definitely you learn different things, or else it's a commonality with these guys is the day-to-day mental prep, like just how much the preparation goes, and who else was a big influence? I don't know if I said Al McInnes. He was always a big one who was more as I got older, but he was coaching a different birth year, but luckily. A lot of those coaches, that alumni base that I talked about, we all kind of cross-contaminated a little bit, or they did at least, and they would help out with different groups and getting since I played D, that's when, Basil was a forward. He would ask guys like Al McInnes and Rob Ramage to come out, and Jeff Brown, and understand those little details that I talked about earlier.
Mm-hmm.
So I was very fortunate just to have the great coaching and knowing how important it is every time you step on that ice.
When you go to junior hockey, and I'm going to correlate this to the Marine Corps. In the Marine Corps, in boot camp, everybody has a breaking point. I imagine there's a breaking point at some point in time. But then you have to make the conscious decision to keep pushing forward. Was there ever that moment for you?
There was times where it towed the line. Now, it wasn't for the first year. I was just extremely happy to be there. Second year, same thing. The end of the second year was a little tougher because of the schooling in Canada from the U.S. It doesn't match up.
Right.
So in the States, I remember guys that played in the NA and the USHL, they would come home after their seasons and maybe they would transfer back to their high school, and then they have a little bit of a break. Now in Canada, we had to stay up there, which was great. I got to train or whatnot, but I still was a kid, so I did like to come home, spend a little bit of time with my family. I needed that time off the ice. But again, when you're there, you really had to show what you were able to do to show how bad you wanted to get there. And there was a lot of times where my approach, and this isn't for everybody, but if I spent a month away from the rink, it would fuel me to have that desire to go back.
Was there a point that you got broken? You're like, do I really want this? Or you were just all in from the get-go, sounds like.
I was. I mean, I had an opportunity, and the window was closing. At 16.
What do you mean by that, the window is closing?
So 16, luckily at underager, I was ahead of the curve learning to adapt to junior. So you kind of had that year of, okay, this is how it is, this is what to expect. But your ultimate goal is probably to get drafted, and your ultimate goal is to make the NHL or the highest level that you possibly can. So after year one, the 16 year, okay, that's a year of development, whatnot, or like I said, I probably played half the games,
okay.
Not very much. But then that next season is your draft year. So that's where, if you want to get noticed, what are you willing to do to get there? How do you get yourself in the lineup? Now it's essential.
Can you give me a couple simple things that you did that got you in the lineup?
I would really say, for me, I lived by the code hard work beats skill. And I felt like I did have a little bit of skill as well. I was a good passer. I had a really good slap shot at the time. Now in the new wave of game, you don't really see any slap shots.
Yeah.
But I felt like my vision was good. Stick on puck was good. I'd win a lot of battles. So I thought I was consistent in a lot of different areas that they liked as far as a D. One of the things that they would have me do at the end of every practice, which again is not attractive at all, but when you watch the playoffs, I notice a lot because I did this on a daily basis, is when I was told when I was on the ice, just as a sixth defenseman, when I get the puck, you want to high flip the puck.
Oh, that's a strategy.
Just high flip the puck. They called it hang time. You want to hang time it. You want to time it to where it lands. Kind of, you're trying to handcuff the other D, so that usually when I was on the ice, you're on the ice with the third line, and those guys are more, or fourth line, and those guys are more energy guys, so they're just running full tilt at the D. So you're trying to make those defensemen nervous so that they bobble or bobble the puck in a way.
Sure.
I got really good at that. And that was the tip or trick what they told me to work on. And they literally some of those bag skates weren't bag skates. It would be 20 to 30 minutes straight of D to D, high flip, D to D, off the glass.
Really?
Just don't ice the puck, but
high flip, so it just lands. Where would you want it to land? Like I mean, ideally right at the feet of the defenseman.
You're trying to time it to where it's carrying a couple seconds and landing right before the defenseman skates, where it's got a maybe bobble or two and then hit them in the shin pad, and they're looking down and scrambling because they're hearing footsteps.
Wow.
That is a skill.
Yeah.
It's not a very attractive skill, but it's hilarious to me now when I train kids where they can do some crazy stuff that I was not able to do as a kid. But when I try to get them to high flip the puck, they can't do it.
Florida won 2 cups high flipping the puck.
Yeah, when you watch the playoffs now, it always, that's why I love watching the playoffs, is because it really goes down to no matter what you see in the regular season, it just seems like the playoff style is the real version of hockey.
Skill gets you to the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
The hard work gets you the ring.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So you're learning these. So you would high flip. How many high flips would you do? That's 50. So it would go D to D high flip.
Yep, D to D high flip, regroup. D to D high flip, regroup. And if it was just me, like usually you have another D or two with you that's in and out of the lineup, or maybe it's just a coach that day where it's, like sometimes I was lucky enough to have Dale Hunter out there coaching. That's when you're really like, oh wow, like I'm here with the head coach.
Yeah.
I got to have a good skate today.
So who were your coaches? Dale Hunter?
My first year was Dale Hunter, Todd Bidner, and Dave Gagne.
Dave Gagne, yeah, very good. Very long pro.
Very long pro. I believe he is an agent now. I know he was working I know he was, when I was done playing, he was with Vancouver's system for a little bit, but now I think he's part of a big agency.
Fantastic. Who's your favorite coach? Do you have a favorite coach, or were they?
I really respected Dale. Dale was quiet, but he seemed to take liking to me. I really liked Dave. Dave was actually really good to me as well. He gave me a lot of tips and tricks. He was always very transparent. Mm-hmm. But Dale was he was good to me. Didn't talk too much to me, but Dave seemed to have a little bit of a liking to me, and I think he was rooting for me in the back end a little bit. He would sneak me out there probably more than he was told to.
Okay.
Yeah.
That had to make you feel good.
It did, yeah.
Here, come on out and skate some more.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What other kind of skills are you teaching today that you learned that are extremely important, that maybe go under the radar of all the skill stuff that we see today?
Honestly, it's just 5-10 foot passes, passing with a purpose, shooting with a purpose, shooting low. You see these kids now, everyone wants to go top shelf. Everyone wants to go bar down. Everyone wants to do these fancy, crazy moves. Catching the puck on your backhand, but passing on your forehand. Just really basic mechanics. It all goes down. It's funny that when you watch pros practice, they're not doing this crazy stuff. They're doing the same thing that I do. A lot of stuff that you could see 5-year-olds just starting, the basic edge work and the basic stick handling, and you see the pros still do it. So I remember Dave at the beginning of, it's probably 2 or 3 times a week, we would do the same thing, same exact warm-up. Just we would scan and stick handle up front. Then you work on your mobility on the forehand. Then you take it to the backhand. Then you kind of put it all together. Mm-hmm. Then we would work on the famous Sam Gagne move that you see in all his shootouts his first couple of years.
I still can't do
it. We used to practice that, and it was I don't know, it was so much fun. I mean, after every practice, the one thing that was really cool was Dale would either, I think it was like $100 for a shootout.
Oh wow!
20,
how could
20
you win?
bucks,
How could you
$100.
win? How could you win the $100?
You'd win the shootout.
You got to win the shootout.
And the goalie we had was a NHL goalie.
Did you win $100?
I think I won it one time when all the guys were at World Juniors.
Really?
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So yeah.
That's really cool. You mentioned in the last interview that we did, in the last podcast that we did, about timing and maybe this is not the right setup to answer this question, but it really struck a chord with me of how do you drill or teach timing? You mentioned that was very important, these little 5-foot, 10-foot passes, but timing. Is it just reps? How do you teach and drill that for our coaches out there?
So you see a lot of drills that are designed just go, go, go. You got to incorporate drills where maybe you pass, but then you got to kind of get lost. They used to call it hiding in the weeds. So you pass the puck, all that attention goes to the guy with the puck. It's funny, we used to call the puck the voodoo doll, because in the defensive zone, and guys are still guilty of it in the NHL, where they get so fixated on watching that puck, but the guys without the puck are more important than the guy with the puck. I think there was a recent stat where, unless you're like McDavid or whatever, every NHL player has the puck for maybe less than a minute in a hockey game.
The highest was McDavid had, I think it was a minute 33.
Yeah. So
and out of a 60-minute game.
It really comes down to, if you're going to make this path, what are you doing without the puck? Are you always a safety valve? Like I played D, so like, are you a safety valve for your partner? How are you, what's called hiding in the weeds, where you're always getting open?
How do you teach or drill that? Is it video? Is it on ice? It's
a lot of patience for I right now I'm coaching the younger kids.
Mm-hmm.
But there is some video that you can teach. We do video a little bit, but in drills you just gotta. I'm a big believer on that muscle memory, and just staying patient and really trying to get them to understand. And the timing on, okay, if I'm going to catch that pass, I want to catch it in motion. I don't want to just go somewhere and just stand there.
Yes. Be in the pylon, as I call it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that takes a lot of patience, and you got to redo.
Yeah.
So you're just in the beginning. Maybe parents that are out there like, why are we doing the same drill?
Yeah.
Why are we stopping this? Why? I see this other practice over there flying around. They look, but it seems like we're not doing anything. But in reality, you're creating the foundation that is the most important.
Big time, yeah.
Is that common? I don't think that's common.
I think it. I'm lucky enough to scout a little bit in the USHL. So at the older ages, you can kind of see it. Mm-hmm. It's a little more drop passes, deception, stuff like that, where guys there's a lot of movement. Guys are getting open. The new game is kind of turning into a little bit positionless. But on the younger side, it is, yes. And I warned the parents, this might be a practice where you just drop them off, and it's going to be like watching paint dry. It's really going to suck. It's not going to be fun, but there is a purpose. And one thing that we always promise the parents is, I can guarantee you by the end of the year, this group or your player will get better.
I've watched your team. I was up in Chicago, and I watched your team play, and the one thing that amazed me was how well, at age, I think they were 8, how well they moved the puck. I was like, they're moving the puck better than my 18-year-olds. It was, I've honestly... I said that to you too.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. So that it does pay off.
That's how I was coached. I mean, I really enjoyed passing. I love a nice crisp pass or watching a nice sauce.
Yeah.
And teaching that, again, you snap that puck around. I always tell the kid, I don't care. Even McDavid, I've never seen a player move faster than the puck.
No.
I don't think we ever will.
No. That was the one. I didn't have great coaches growing up, but the one thing the coach did beat into us when we wouldn't pass and move the puck was the fact that we could never move faster than the puck, and that ended up being skating drill. As he's like, okay, race time, and he shoots the puck. Oh, you didn't beat it? I guess we're going to do another set.
Mm-hmm.
You guys, let's see how long it's going to take before you beat the puck. And
yeah.
Of course, it's never going to happen. So, all right, so a lot of these little skills that we're talking about, okay, you at Stride and Sully, you've got some things there. You talked about sauce pass. You talked about just some basic puck stick handling. Shooting is different nowadays. There's no big bombs, no big clappers like Mr. McGinnis and his 110 breaking the glass.
Yep, exactly.
It is a different technology, different sticks. Can you tell us a little bit about Stride and Sully and some of the things that kids are going to work on there that translate into what you do as a coach?
Yeah, so when you come in there, we have a full synthetic like skating treadmill that you can stick handle on. It elevates.
Eyes up, head up. Make sure
have a nice mirror in front of you so you can really see yourself. Mirror that posture. I'm big on posture. Okay. I think that's the thing where I really harp on the kids that come in is really focusing on the mechanics of the stride. And then you can do some fun stuff in the end where you're stick handling, or maybe I have a Swiss ball. I'm giving them a little bit of pressure or balance, depending on where they're at. You can elevate it and do some sprinting techniques on there.
Okay.
So that's been fun. That usually tires them out pretty quick. It's a 3-station process how I have it set up now. Mm-hmm. After they're getting a little bit worn out on the treadmill, then I have like a smaller portion of a synthetic tiles or whatnot where you can skate on, and that's when we're working on those new like fundamentals, whether it be passing, like you said, saucer passing, different passing stuff. Working on that new wave of shot, like you said, like the technology in these sticks are absolutely insane.
Yeah.
So, back in the day, you just kind of were told to load back and then push forward. Now It's like there's so many different steps on this. They call it creating a lever, if you will, and working on that kind of stuff. And then like they'd have a little bit of fun where you slow it down. I don't want them to be like totally bored for them, but then you do a couple drills to incorporate after you work on whatever fundamental that will be. Then one of the junior teams I played for, Oshawa Generals, they have one of these in their locker room, is a rapid shot. And it's the only one here in St. Louis. I really like it. So basically what it is, it's like a golf simulator / batting cage for a hockey player.
Oh, wow.
What it does is you're on a platform, so it kind of mimics you being on skates. It passes you out a puck. While it passes you that puck, a random light would show up on the net. So it kind of forces you to get your head up, and then it tracks your speed, your time release, your accuracy. So, typically when you're working with kids, they love to catch the puck, then they want to stick handle 1, 2, 3, 4, get their head up, look back down, and then try to shoot. This, you're competing with yourself, and you're competing with. These things are all over the world, so it has a world ranking. You can have multiple kids in there where they're competing against each other. I could be with a little kid. There's a handicap mode as well. There's all kinds of different things. If I'm focused on, maybe I'm struggling, I'm shooting top left or bottom left, I can dial it into where, okay, like this round I only want to focus on that.
Mm-hmm. So this then tracks you. Once you're in the system, it tracks you, and then you can see your performances, you can see improvement, you can see where you need to improve, what you need to improve. Yeah. And then you can analyze the stats from there.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, yeah. So
while you're doing it, I'm assuming you're analyzing it. Okay, here, let's stop and restart. And
so you do get it passes you out 16 shots for every round. After every round, yes, you can dissect and, hey, this is what we need to work on. We can stop, take a little breather on that. And then after every night you use it, it will email you kind of like a report and tell you, hey, okay, you're really skilled on speed. Your second thing that was great was accuracy, but we really need to focus on that time release. You hit X amount of targets. Moving forward, let's try to. You're only 100 shots or X amount of shots to getting to this next goal. So it creates little goals, and then you're this world ranking. I remember when I first started it, I think I was in the 300s. Now I've gotten addicted to it as well. Where I think I'm in the 60s.
Oh boy! So you got to get top 20.
So I do see a lot of value in it.
So it's a gamification. So the kids have to like that,
Mm-hmm.
right? So the repetition and the gamification instead of just I'm telling the kids, here's a net, go outside, keep on shooting.
Yeah.
This is something that's really dialed in as to how to shoot and to what I'm hearing is to eliminate some of the bad habits.
Big time. That's the big thing. That weight distribution, that having your head up,
Dusting it off.
and then when you have a bad round, you're just like, man, I got to get like, no, I got to go the other way. So I really enjoy it. I think a lot of kids do. I've had nothing but love with that thing in there. So you always kind of got to pull kids out of there when the next guy's ready to go.
Fantastic. All right. I already want to bring Kate and Damien out there. And how do I get to Stride and Sully? Do I sign up online? Do I make a phone call? What's the setup if I want to get Damien and Kate out there?
So yeah, we have a website, strideandsully.com. There's a whole booking app system that you sign up for. It's pretty easy to do. You get an email confirmation after every time you sign up, and that would be the best way. If you have like a small group or anything like that, there's something on the website where you would email or contact me or someone on my team directly.
Fantastic. Tony, great to see you again.
Yeah.
We'll see everyone next time.
Yeah, thank you.